building a roadmap is so important because this is what I think a lot of people, when they get caught up in the buzzwords, they don't consider. One of the things that I alluded to earlier, and I want to really emphasize here, if automation works, your workforce needs will change. If you're literally starting to, as an example, use bots for most of your simple transactional issues, then you're simply not going to have as many issues that require live agents. It's just a reality that there's far more simple tasks than complex ones. So if you have a lot of back office tasks that you're suddenly changing and handling with automation, you're not going to need as many back office employees. There's just not as much work for them to do. We can beat around the bush and we can say that, there's no change in our workflow, and that's just not the case. The reality is your needs within these departments may change. Now, there's also an upside to this too, is that suddenly now you're able to achieve things you never thought you previously could. Things that you didn't have the resources for, you didn't have the manpower for, you didn't have the staff in place for, are now within reach. You can start to achieve new tasks. I gave a very simple example earlier about maybe adding a customer retention function. You now have the capability because you have new people there. You also can strengthen your analysis arm. You can start to invest in a higher caliber of care. There's a lot of different things you can do with your organization. So it doesn't mean you have to fire agents. It doesn't mean you have to shrink your total workforce. It just means you have to be honest that you may need fewer frontline agents and people handling those basic tasks. Now, you're also going to want to think about, in addition to the impact on your headcount, who's going to support the AI and automation technology? You need people, whether it's interfacing with your technology partners to learning from and programming bots based on interactions you have or new compliance requirements. You need a team in place that's going to oversee all that. And so you need to really have these long and hard questions about how your workforce needs are going to change in order to make sure you have staff positioned correctly. One of the biggest things we also hear is that, we're just going to move people throughout the business. And that's absolutely a great idea, and it's one that will prevent you from having to fire people while also making sure that you're adding value to your company. But not everyone's ready to be moved to other parts of the business. So if you want to, as an example, transition someone from call center agent to bot builder, well, they need to know how to build bots. They need to understand that aspect of your customer experience. And so there is a lot of preparation you need to make the most of that staffing component. Ultimately, you want to create a hypothetical scenario. If everything we wanted to automate worked and suddenly, everything we did was successful, what would happen next? And that's really, really important to go through. And one other thing I want to remind before we jump into the questions is that this isn't just you here. I know a lot of you work with BPOs, you work with partners. Make sure they're using automation correctly as well. Because if they don't have this all mapped out, they're not going to be as efficient as a partner as they possibly can be, which is going to cost you as well. So make sure that everyone involved with your entire customer experience journey is as passionate about using automation correctly and has this long-term vision in place. And when they do that, you're going to be successful.
And you're spot on, Brian, because the way we've seen this with our clients, and I think you alluded to this earlier too, is some people will look at these as projects. And projects are good because they potentially return a short-term ROI. But really, where we've seen it successful is when the myriad of clients we work with, we have created a roadmap, and it's we call it the ABC of digital transformation, looking at the agent experience, the B being the business optimization, and the C, the customer experience, and balancing out that journey. And I'd add another layer to this, and this is your point about whether it's retraining, retooling the workforce to meet the needs for the future.